we can get back to some of the nuances and all of this stuff. But the third point that you made was you have to have both taxes and revenues on the table. That was one of the points that we made in the fiscal wake up tour is
Yes.
everything needs to be on the table, or at least, no preconditions for negotiating. And what are your backup points on that?
I think that's absolutely central. It worked on the tour. As you know, we had people with a range of our personal political views, and we might each individually have reached somewhat different balances of taxes and spending. We all recognize that you were not going to get to a sustainable fiscal path without both. And every bipartisan group, official groups like the Bowles-Simpson Commission, unofficial groups that get together and propose fiscal plans, all those groups end up with combinations of increases in revenue and cuts in spending. That's what will ultimately happen. And the sooner that everybody can admit that and sit down together, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, and it's this failure to make compromise that, people reach that conclusion that you have to have a little from both sides. And then if you're not willing to make the compromise, then the default is you do nothing. And the problem gets worse for reasons we explained earlier on autopilot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Compromise is a positive thing in a world of with disparate views, right? If we were a totalitarian state, an autocracy, if we had a king, a dictator, then that person's views could just be what happens. But in a democratic society, I mean democratic with a small d, a society where voters express their preferences, there are going to be a range of preferences. The only way to move ahead ever really is to be willing to compromise with people who disagree with you. And now, of course, we all have strongly held views on particular issues, and not everything can be split down the middle. But plenty of things can be, actually. There are lots of ways that one can adjust taxes and adjust spending. And all these groups that people who've sat down together taking these issues seriously have found ways to do that, to make compromises. And that's what's happened in the past for our elected leaders, right? This is how we got to the budget agreement in 1990 and then in the mid 90s that did make a difference in the fiscal path. That's what has to happen again in the future.